What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we are doing another House of the Dragon video on my channel. Today, I have Jake back again, and we are going to discuss House of the Dragon Episode 1 with full spoilers for Fire and Blood. That means we will be spoiling what is going to happen in future episodes of House of the Dragon, so watch this at your own risk. If you haven't seen House of the Dragon and don't want to be spoiled, don't watch this. I'm sorry, if you haven't read Fire and Blood and don't know what the story is going to do,
but also, if you haven't seen episode 1 of House of the Dragon, because obviously we'll also be spoiling.
Yes, that is also correct. Yeah, Jake, do you want to quickly introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. I'm Jake. I do book videos. This is my first time collaborating on a non-book related channel. This time it's on a House of the Dragon related channel. So that's interesting. I'm expanding the types of channels that I'm collaborating on. Someone needs to keep track and let us know when he's done more House of the Dragon videos than he has book related videos. It's going to happen. But that's okay. That's okay, because House of the Dragon episode 1 was really good. And I am the lesser A Song of Ice and Fire fan here. I'm also the filthy casual who only watched House of the Dragon once. Sheikh, on the other hand, has watched it 76 times, even though that actually chronologically might, I guess it's come out more than 76 hours ago, so that's chronologically possible. He quit sleeping, he quit his job. He's just actually been watching House of the Dragon on repeat. So yeah, I'm the casual so he can drop knowledge bombs on me because he remembers all of Jaehaerys' children. Like, what kind of psychopath can remember every one of Jaehaerys' children? Like, who is this guy?
I still remember them. It's just funny. Anyway, also, if you want this, the spoiler-free version of this is on Jake's channel. Yeah, I should have mentioned that before. Anyway, so Jake, now, as a fan of Fire and Blood, how did you like this episode?
It ruled. I cannot wait for all the people are like, am I team Daemon or am I team Rhaenyra? And it sparks so much joy. I cannot wait for them to be on the same side in the Civil War. It's gonna be delicious. It's gonna be fantastic. I'm so excited for that. Do you know how excited I am for people to be like, wait, the other side of the Civil War is fucking Alicent? What?
Yes. Did you catch some of the foreshadowing they were doing with Alicent?
It was wonderful. It was really good. Yeah. Yeah.
Like in that last scene, like, sorry, but I have to say this because I will forget otherwise. I've seen that last scene too much, as I've mentioned. When Corlys is swearing his oath, they're like, yeah, I, Corlys Velaryon, title titles, and then he's like, let's shield future King Viserys and his named heir, and then he's like, I shall defend them against like all enemies, and in that moment, the camera, like, it's showing Rhaenyra, and it just moves to Alicent. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
And then when Hobart Hightower is doing it, it goes to Daemon, which obviously that's like putting you up, but I was like, oh my god, they're already planting seeds. The other seed is obviously they mentioned Aegon's Iron Crown in that scene between Viserys and Aemma, which I'm so looking forward to see that crown, man. Like, I hope they do that. They didn't do Jaehaerys' crown correctly, which whatever, but I do hope they do Aegon's crown correctly because that one will be, that's such an iconic crown.
Yes. Yeah, there was man, like I seeing people tweet, are you team like Daemon or team Rhaenyra? Like, very few things cause me more joy than that. They're on the same side. Let's go. They might be more than on the same side.
Might.
No,
yeah, it was actually interesting because like I was talking to my cousins about this. Like, they haven't read Fire and Blood, and they're already setting up this like relationship because of their throne room scene, which had some undertones, let's say. Yeah, I think it's interesting that so many people are buying into this, that they're going to fight. Which obviously the episode wants you to think that.
And also the
But also-
trailer baited people into it. Remember, people were panicking that they changed the source material because of the conversation where Daemon's like, I'm your heir. And people like, what? The war isn't between Daemon and Rhaenyra. And I'm like, they're not going to change that. It's a trailer. It's because they're tricking the casuals. You got to let the casuals be tricked, folks. Come on.
I mean, you don't want to spoil like episode 7.
Yeah.
Because I think Aegon will not be introduced until like episode 5 or 6. So yeah, but I'm like, this is so good. Like the setup already is so good. I'm loving what they're doing with Daemon. I know. Did you see Canis talk about Daemon on Discord?
I don't think so.
It was like
I'm gonna miss that.
he didn't like Matt Smith's performance. I'm like, what?
Frankly, terrible. Canas. Oh, he hasn't read Fire and Blood. Hey, he might watch this anyways. Canas, what are you talking about? Also another thing that I find is delicious is how obviously Rhaenyra sucks. Like, it's not good. In a lot of ways. Like, she's not doing a good job.
You're talking about Fire and Blood Rhaenyra.
Yes. Yes. Fire and Blood Rhaenyra, like when she's queen. Not good. And I'm so looking forward to that because people are like, oh look, they're cheering for Rhaenyra. And I'm like, it's people are trying to figure out who the good guys are. And I'm like, there aren't any. Everyone in this period is terrible.
Yeah.
Except Corlys Velaryon.
Yeah, I think Rhaenyra, like, they're approaching it probably more from a standpoint of she has good intentions at this point, but she'll get
She doesn't suck yet.
as
She's
a result.
gonna get emotionally destroyed over and over again, and eventually, by the time she takes the Iron Throne, is just gonna be too vindictive and worried about being like, I'm in the position of power now. I can get revenge on everyone, and not be thinking of like, hey, maybe we should like make sure there isn't a civil war, and then we should be petty. But her priorities are petty, and then make sure there isn't a civil war. Common problem.
No. Yeah, but did you like the way they portrayed Rhaenyra in this?
Yes.
Overall?
Yeah, I think the way they portrayed Rhaenyra is excellent. I found one of the most hilarious negative reviews of House of the Dragon, and by hilarious, I mean stupid. Was the one, the message of this is like that a 13-year-old girl can functionally rule the 7 kingdoms. It's like, okay, bud.
I told you in our last stream that people were going to do this. Like, we had a whole thing about this.
And I agreed. I was like, yes, people are going to do this. And it's dumb. Like, no. But that person obviously isn't going to get far enough into the show to be like, oh, that's not the message. It's not.
Dude, I don't want to start reading out negative reviews that make me laugh. But there were some reviews where I'm like, what the fuck are people talking about? So, should I read this?
Like, this could be a segment. I mean, this could be a segment of this show.
Let me find this. I posted this on Jimmy's.
Although maybe you should just make a video. Sheikh reacts to negative reviews of House of the Dragon. It'll get a bajillion views, and your channel will explode. And then you'll stop talking to me because you'll be like, I don't want to talk to that peasant with 1,500 subscribers. I'm gonna go talk to Gildius. I need someone with 1 million subs. You know. I have no idea how many subs Gildius has, but he also doesn't like the episode The Winds of Winter. So I think good job.
Oh my god. So it basically could be the same as talking with you. Is what
yeah, correct. Well, no, because he's more of a fan of the show. He won't forget names like I do. So
yeah, it's fine. These names are confusing. Rhaenyra, Rhaenys, people are going to have issues with that. There's also going to be Rhaena in this show.
Well, to be fair, Targaryens do suck at naming people. Remember, this was a thing. HBO was like, can't we just change some of the Targaryen names? And the showrunner was just like, no. And it was
actually one of the showrunners was like, this is going to be confusing, we should change it. And the other one was like, nope. Like, it's funny because that showrunner, he was on, there is an official Game of Thrones podcast because they have like interviews every week with one of the cast or crew members. They had George Martin last week and they had Ryan Condal, who was one of the showrunners this week. And he basically described it as like, we have this team where George is like the mastermind. I'm the guy who's keeping the lore straight, and Miguel is the guy who's trying to make it look visually good. Like, that's their 3 roles. I thought that was funny because he's like, no, I'm going to keep the lore straight. And he's keeping the book lore straight because he mentioned, dude, I almost screamed in the cinema at the pettiest thing. Because and at the end, when Viserys is naming Rhaenyra the heir, he says King of the Andals and the Rhoynar. And the first one, I was like, yes, the Rhoynar are back. Yes.
Oh,
Just so
let's
silly.
go.
I was like, and that's like, I would have been okay.
Wait, they hadn't unified. They hadn't conquered Dorne yet.
But they hadn't. But they always like claim that because it's Seven Kingdoms. Like they're like, we don't care. We claim dominion over Dorne. We haven't, even though they don't accept it.
Okay.
So even from the start, they were like we're the kings from Dorne, but like whatever. I mean, we don't know what happened with Dorne, like with Aegon and that letter. So yeah, but in Game of Thrones, they just cut out the Rhoynar because I guess they thought people wouldn't understand. I'm like, anyway, like it's a small thing, but it doesn't. It made me happy. Like that made me happy. Then also the fact that they, in the same scene where all the lords are swearing their oaths, they use this actual book titles, like I said, Lord of the Tides and Master of Driftmark for Corlys. I was like,
Corlys
yes.
Velaryon, let's go. By the way, if you guys do not want people to stand for Corlys Velaryon, this is not the show for you, because I stand Corlys Velaryon. I think if everyone ranked above him in the line of succession all got appendicitis and died, that would be a good thing for the realm.
That's a lot of people that would have to die. You just have to understand that. That's a big statement.
Yeah, how many people would that be? I mean, obviously Viserys.
I don't even know, because we don't know like Corlys's parents, so I don't know like when.
I think if you just kill all the Targaryens, he should be first in line for House Velaryon. And I think if you go back there, House connects the most, probably.
Yes, like either them or the Baratheons connect the most.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know, but I like Corlys. He's based. He tried to be like, "Hey, Queen who never was," and everyone shut him down. And they were just like,
"Dude, that scene, I like." He's like, "Hey, Daemon is here, but also, if
like,
not,
I'm just saying." And everyone was just like, and he was just like, I tried. Can't blame me for trying.
I like Otto's reaction. He was like, dude, you just fucking said that Daemon is the heir. What are you doing?
He's like, well, you said Daemon isn't the heir. And I just wanted to point out that if Daemon isn't the heir, then my fucking grandkid is the heir. Maybe. Okay? Like, what? Am I supposed to not point that out? Like, come on. You're literally about to send your daughter to seduce a man who's a lot older, and you're gonna blame me for bringing this up? Come on, Otto.
Dude, Otto, like, I already have a love-hate relationship. Like, I hate Otto, the book character, but also Rhys Ifans is portraying him so well that I'm like, I like him, which is weird. Like, just his facial expression in that scene, where he's sending Alicent and she's like, I should go to the king's room, and he's like, I'm like, dude, fuck off. And then he's like, you can put on one of your mother's dresses. Like, okay, fuck off twice.
That's not good parenting.
That's, oh my god. But it will be interesting to see how they play Alicent and Viserys, actually. And also how they play, how that affects Alicent and Rhaenyra's relationship. Because obviously, like, now that they're friends, this will be weird. Because
also, here's one, because we don't actually see Daemon saying heir from the day. We just have to trust Otto. Are they going to do the thing? I think with the heir from the day was a mushroom thing, right?
I don't remember.
I think what they're going to do for some mushroom things is they're just going to have it not have that, and we can just decide. Or are they not answering for some of the mushroom ones? Are they just going to be like, it's still leaving it up in the air? Because, I mean, we just have to trust Otto that he said the heir for the day.
Yeah, that's one thing. I mean, Daemon also didn't say it. So, but
yeah, but also I feel like he knows that Viserys wouldn't believe him whether it was true or not.
Yeah, like actually that scene, I'm like, I have a hard time reading it, but because do you think Viserys decided before he talked with Daemon that he was naming a new heir, or do you think he decided in that scene?
Well, wait, that scene was after he talked with Rhaenyra and basically, was it? Am I getting the chronology
No.
wrong?
So basically, we had the council scene, and the council scene directly led into Daemon and Viserys,
Oh, okay.
and the
I have
Rhaenyra scene was
chronology.
after.
Okay.
So I was a bit confused, like, because Viserys was talking with him, and then basically after he said you're weak, that's when he was like, I've decided to name a new heir.
I feel
But I
like
think-
he wasn't completely. I think, all right, I think he probably was planning on it, but he is a bit weak and was waffling on it. And when Daemon was kind of a dick, it kind of strengthened his resolve.
Yeah, because I think that scene was done very well, but I think that and the era for a day scene leaves a bit of open questions for me. Like, a part of me wishes that they showed it the era for a day thing, because I do think he said it. But I think the way, if you watch that scene where it's supposed to, where where they're saying that he said it, he wasn't partying or anything, right? Like, he was super, like, sitting in a brothel being super sad. Like, he was drinking, and then, like, some guy was like, the prince will speak now. And that's when he said it. So even if he said it, it's not like he was partying and, like, making fun of it. Yeah, so I think the context is interesting. I think they might as well have shown him say it, but I get why they didn't.
I think because it's a mushroom thing. I think it's supposed to be not clear whether he said it or not. I kind of feel like maybe he didn't, and that Otto is being a shit disturber. I mean, that would fit with Otto, right? Like, Otto is a shit disturber. So
yeah. I mean, because the last thing we see of that scene in the brothel is him saying the king's son or something, and then it cuts off.
Yeah, so he absolutely could have been like the heir for a day.
Yeah, like, because he was going to toast him like to the king's son, and then just the heir for a day, and then he could just go back to be like super sad.
He also absolutely could have toasted to, like, to the king's son. It's it was a tragedy. Like, he could have given him a probably not a normal toast by reasonable standards, but like a normal toast by Daemon Targaryen standards. Where, I mean, he did already say, like, I'm hard to replace, which is already kind of like you're kind of celebrating the death of your nephew.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fucked up situation either way. I'm just saying, like, I thought it was interesting how they played Daemon. Like, it wasn't like he outright was like partying. Because also what I really like is how during that funeral scene, he was the one who was actually like talking with Rhaenyra, right? Like, Viserys and Rhaenyra didn't talk about this thing at all. Even at the end, she's like, dude, you haven't talked with me since that funeral. And he's just like, whatever, let's talk about dragons. Yeah, but I like the dynamic, like, because Daemon did look sad to me in that funeral scene, and he was trying to basically, like, they were talking to Lyrian, right? And she was like, do you think my father was happy, like, for the one day he had a son?
Yeah, I really like this.
And Daemon is like your father needs you right now, like now more than ever. So I'm like, they're playing it in a more complex way. Like, this relationship isn't just like, a Daemon is ambitious for the throne, and he's like, because also in that council scene, people are implying that he would kill Viserys, and I'm like, Daemon would not kill Viserys.
Yeah, I actually think, like, he's not trustworthy, obviously, but I also don't think, I think he would kill everyone else in that room, like, in 1 second.
Yes. I think Matt Smith actually said that, like, people asked him, like, does Daemon have a moral compass or something? He's like, yeah, he does. You're either in it or you're out of it. And basically the idea is that the only people that he's like were in his moral compass, which doesn't make sense because it's like, are Rhaenyra and Viserys. Like, I think Matt Smith basically said, like, he would do anything for Rhaenyra and Viserys, and then, like, because they're in the moral compass, it doesn't matter what kind of morality it is. But for everybody else, he's like, fuck off. Like, I don't care if you're good, if you're bad. Like, I'm just going to.
Yeah, so if everyone except Rhaenyra and Viserys got appendicitis, he would just be like, exactly. By the way, it's because that's how one of Jaehaerys' kids died. And it's one of the kind of ones where people are like, is this faceless assassin? I
Is
kind
this
of think
the-
he just,
it-
I kind of
it
just think
is-
he got appendicitis.
I don't know. Maester.
Yeah. By the way, Maester conspiracy. Is this a thing? Is this a thing? Maesters might be deliberately not like when the Maester was about to tell Viserys the thing, and then the other person said it, and he kind of switched his tune. I was like, wait a second, these Maesters killing Viserys slowly?
That's one thing. There were a lot of things where I was like, okay, what the hell is happening here? Melos in the council scenes, he was always backing up Otto. Like in the scene where they're talking about Daemon, he's like, it wouldn't. Lionel Strong says that maybe, like, basically, there has never been a female heir, and like the Maester is like, that's only by precedence and law, and I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? That the law says no.
Well, okay, what that means is it's not because it doesn't make sense to have a queen, like because queens can't rule. It's just because in the past queens have.
No, I know, but like,
but it's just precedent. It's not law. So
but
come on, Maester.
I don't think. I don't think he said law. He said something else.
I think he said precedent
by tradition and precedent.
Oh yeah, not by law. Yeah.
Yeah, but I still found it funny that like the Maester is saying that because he's supposed to be like the rule follower. Then he was fully backing up Otto. Then there's in the scene where Otto and Alicent are in his room or whatever. Melos is there to send a raven to Old Town. Melos is there, having a weird. Melos is the guy who suggests a C-section. Melos is the guy who has a baby in the hand after the birth.
And you could tell from his facial expression something was wrong there. He was like, you could tell he was like, it's a son? What's going on?
I think it was a son, but like it sounded like the baby was like coughing or something.
I think he knew it was not. I think he knew that baby did not have a long life expectancy.
Exactly. I think that was the thing. Like, I'm not saying like that they're fully doing the Maester conspiracy, but I think they, at the very least, are giving people who believe in that theory. They're giving them some Easter eggs there to be like.
I feel like they might never confirm it, but they might leave it plausible for the entire show.
Yeah, I mean, there's no need to confirm it because like it's not like the Maesters are outright going to do something, right? Like, we don't need to see them outright do something. Like, what are they going to show to confirm it?
It's basically a big circle of Maesters being like, so damn, we only got half of the Targaryens ish. No, and then someone being like, we actually got like 78% of the Targaryens. It was pretty good.
No, but yeah, I think like also again the framing, like as I talked about with that end scene, when they name Rhaenyra the heir at the very end, there is this one shot where you see Otto. By the way, Otto smirk in that scene. He's like, "Yay, I got Daemon out." The frame is Otto, Alicent, and Melos. All right, that has to be on purpose, right? Like the frame, and they focus on that for a few seconds. Again, I've seen this episode too much. Maybe I'm reading too much into this stuff. But I was like, Melos with Otto again. This is the thing.
I'll just agree with you because it's almost 1 a.m. for me, and I don't feel like disagreeing.
Yeah, I mean, this is like we'll see. Like it's too early to tell anyway. But keep your eyes on the Maesters, people. They're
sketchy.
Yeah, they are sketchy, man.
They really are. Like,
yeah. Okay. So.
But everyone is sketchy. Who isn't sketchy?
Yeah. That's very fair. Who isn't sketchy now?
I mean, I feel like Corlys Valyrian is the least sketchy, but I still don't.
Yeah. I mean,
I just want other people to trust him because I'm cheering for him. If the showrunners actually just retcon Fire and Blood and it's like Corlys Valyrian fucking just shanks everyone and becomes king, everyone else will be like, "You've ruined the source material. This is so bad," and I'll just be like, "Feels good, man."
See, now if that happens, I want to see your reaction. That actually happens.
No, I'll probably hate it, but I'll secretly like it. No, my reaction will be that was terrible, but I love it.
That's fair. That's fair. Oh man, Carlos. But I think like it's interesting. Carlos, I think at this point he has his whole legacy, not legacy, but like his whole image of like this guy who's seen the whole world, right? Like he's supposed to be basically the best seafarer ever. Um, like he has a certain image and like legend about him, and I feel like a lot of people are maybe a bit threatened by him. That's why they're like trying to keep him at distance.
They're threatened by him because he's gonna kill them all and take over the Iron Throne.
Yeah, I think they just know that like he's ambitious for sure, and they know like if there's a chance, he'll probably take it. So yeah.
Also, he's still kind of annoyed that like his grandkid isn't gonna be the king because he kind of still feels like he had the better claim. He's like, I worked hard to get these marriages, damn it.
Actually, an interesting thing in the Great Council, they said the final vote was between Rhaenys and Viserys. In the book, it's between Laenor and Viserys. Like, I don't think it's a big change, like, whatever. But it was interesting that, like, I think it was more to simplify stuff because they were like, we can't explain everything here in 2 minutes. So I think it was the best way to simplify it. But I think it's interesting because, like, at that point, they wanted Laenor, right, in the book. So, yeah. And also, they might have aged down Laenor. That's what I was thinking, because in that tournament scene, we see Laenor and Laena, and they're quite young. I think they're supposed to be older than Rhaenyra, but they look younger than Rhaenyra.
Yeah.
In that scene.
Yeah, because I mean, they would have been. Yeah, I think they are supposed to be. Wait, they're in. I don't even remember them being in the episode. I only watched it once. I'm a casual. What can I say?
Like they're in the episode, like in that tournament scene, they're just sitting in front of their parents. Like,
okay, yeah, I didn't notice that.
But they look definitely younger than Rhaenyra and Alicent. And like I think Laenor is supposed to be like 3 or 4 years older than Rhaenyra in the book. But I mean that remains to be seen what they do with that. One other thing I found interesting is how they changed the timeline, because all of this stuff happened in like Viserys' second year. They shifted it to Viserys' 9th year. I'm like wondering how. So Alicent and Viserys will get married.
They probably want things to happen closer together, just for like actor purposes.
Yes.
And to have less time skips. History. It doesn't matter if you have a time skip in a history book. History books have to have time skips. I think time skips work less well in TV shows.
I think they'll have a time skip in each episode, to be honest, because I assume in the next episode or two we'll see Viserys and Alicent get married, but then they'll start having kids. So
yeah, I mean, but they just probably want a smaller time skip.
Yeah, I think they'll have like 1-2 year time skips between episodes. Like maybe not for the next episode. I think the next episode will be like 5-6 months later. Because I think in the next episode we'll see that scene with Daemon and the egg, and for that Miss Arya has to be pregnant. So I assume Daemon has been chilling on Dragonstone, getting Miss Arya pregnant, and then we'll like pick up there. But then afterwards, like once Alicent and Viserys are married, because then we will have the thing where they're like, okay, let's marry Rhaenyra to Aegon. Like for that, Aegon needs to be there. So they'll have to at least get some time. Yes, and like I think they're doing the big time skip between episode 5 and episode 6. So I think there will be a lot of time skips before that to kind of get the kids at some point. Like, yeah.
To get the real conflict, and people will be like, oh crap, it's not Daemon versus Rhaenyra.
Yeah. And also we're going to see the Stepstones War, and it seems like they're expanding it. Dude, I'm so hyped for that war. Because it's Carlos, Daemon. It looks like they're putting Laenor there because there have been promo images of sea smoke burning shit down. That war, like I think it's supposed to be in episode 3.
All right, this is my question for you, because it's almost 1 a.m. and I'm gonna end this soon.
Shit.
This is my question for you, okay?
Sure.
What episode is the "Her children are so strong" speech going to be in?
Probably
like 3 or
7.
4. No, later, I guess. Yeah,
I think 7 or 8. 7 or 8 is, I think. Like I don't want to spoil like actually what's happening each episode because they're having leaks and stuff. But
okay. Then never mind. I haven't
like
seen
the big time skip is between 5 and 6,
okay.
and I think Rhaenyra will have her children in between that. So I think
For strong
probably
children who are very strong.
yes. So I think you'll see like episode 6. You'll see her already have the 3 strongs. And then
No, her 3 children who are strong. It's treason if you say her 3 strongs. You might be killed.
Viserys is in charge. Dude, Vaymond is going to be killed in this season. I forgot about that. Vaymond is Corlys's brother / cousin. I think he's his cousin in
Yeah, I don't
Fire and
much
Blood.
about Vaymond.
And he says, Rhaenyra feeds him to her dragon because he.
Oh yeah, that wasn't very nice for her.
Yeah, so she doesn't just become awful afterwards.
Oh no, she was awful before. Like her, she gets the queen who never was killed. She's just like her running of the world. She's like, there's a bunch of dragons going over, and it's like, hey, you should really send some dragons over there. And she's just like, I'm gonna do nothing instead. And so Rhaenys is just like, okay, fine, I'll do it myself. And then it's like, the way Rhaenyra fights that war is so tilting. She has the dragon advantage. She has numerical superiority. Like every dragon fight until the fight at King's Landing, she's fighting like 1 dragon against 3, and one of the 3 is Vhagar. Like, what are you doing? You should be fighting. You should have the numerical advantage. Anyway, yelling at Rhaenyra. I need this to end because it's 1 a.m. For future episodes, I'll have a better time scale and won't have to do it at 1 a.m. But
yes, we need to figure out
I mean, my schedule is going to change, and we're going to be able to do a better schedule.
Yeah.
But
we'll figure it out.
I'm about to be burnt out, so I'm going to need we're going to wrap things up.
Okay, just final question: how hyped are you for the rest of it?
Yes.
Yeah,
that's how hyped I am.
Okay, very good.
Well, you're probably going to replace me with Gildias, but if there's any other like fantasy adaptations for books, you won't be able to have him on as a guest, so I'll still have hope because he's just Songwriter's Fire.
So you're saying you want to discuss Rings of Power next week?
Yeah, absolutely. No, you haven't. I haven't read Silmarillion, but you know, if there's a Stormlight,
it's not about the Silmarillion. Anyway, let's not go in.
If there's a Stormlight show in the future, though, and you've hopefully watched it, or you know, if the thing that I want to happen that's not going to happen. There's like a Lions of Alverson show. Come on. Okay. Or a Serentine Mosaic show. But anyways,
yes,
I'll be on those and I'll make you read them.
I think the through line of our episodes will be HBO. Jake wants a Lions of Alverson show. So
or Serentine Mosaic.
Or Serentine Mosaic.
Hell, I'll take Under Heaven. Yeah, Tigana, Song for a Bone.
Guy Gabriel K multiverse. So that's a good point to say, people go check out the video on Jake's channel if you want the spoiler-free version. If not, check out his Guy Gabriel K videos because I think he wants everybody to read Guy Gabriel K.
Well, no, I only want people with good taste in books to read Guy Gabriel K. Because if you have bad taste in books, you'll dislike him and that'll make you sad.
Okay, cool.
So read Guy Gabriel K. If you like good books, please go read Guy Gabriel K.
If you don't like good books,
you can find out by reading Guy Gabriel K.
I thought you were going. If you don't like good books,
okay, just to be clear, for legal reasons, that was a joke. Okay, it was a joke, guys. I don't automatically think you have bad taste if you don't like Guy Gabriel K. Okay.
I'm going to do my joke again. If you don't like good books, read Warbreaker.
That's end the meeting now. So can you say goodbye, everyone?
Thank you everybody for watching. Let us know in the comments what your favorite moments were. And we'll see you next week. Hopefully with a more reasonable schedule and stuff.
Don't tell me what your favorite moment is. I want to know what moment you're most excited to watch non-book readers react to. That's the moment I want to see in the comments.
I think there are like 2 options, but anyway, do that. And we'll see you next week.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.